To give everybody a brief and general outlook of how this book series is going to go and how the future book series is going to grow is it's going to be a mixture of personal experience along with content relating to the book that is being dissected. And for future videos, I plan on having guests giving their own personal quotes that they love from the book along with their own personal experiences. Back to it. Know Thyself by Naeem Akbar. And I really hope I pronounced his name correctly. Naeem Akbar specializes in the personal development, education, and motivation for African American peoples. He's on the Faculty of Psychology for Florida State University in Tallahassee, Florida, and he is a graduate from the University of Michigan, and he has his BA, his MA, and his PhD in the Department of Psychology. So this man definitely knows what he's talking about, because if you know anything about Michigan, they definitely mean business. He's also appeared on different network television shows, such as The Oprah Winfrey Show, Tony Brown's Journal, and the former Phil Donahue Show. So the title of chapter 1 is called The Vehicle of Transmission of Consciousness, and it's all about the importance of education. And he kind of looks at it from a standpoint of more self-education and self-knowledge as well. He's really adamant when it comes to understanding ourselves before we're essentially able to understand each other and the world around us. He also touches on some of the essential components of education and what it's supposed to do for us and how it's supposed to translate within our personal lives. So he kind of talks about the importance of identity, picking your name and language, and why some of those aspects of ourselves are so important to us. Learning about our education is supposed to adduce a certain identity within us. Humans must have a really good sense of who they are and where they come from, and even what their ancestors have done and how they've shaped history, for us to have a true understanding of ourselves and for us to feel a sense of acceptance within society. If we've been educated within a certain system that doesn't focus on those essential components with learning about ourselves or learning about our history or our ancestors, it's really gonna breed problems for us along the way. Let's just say, even for me, when I was going through school, we of course just focused on the typical math, science, reading, a little bit of social studies. Of course, there's absolutely nothing wrong with studying those things, but it's honestly still very important for us to learn about ourselves within our education and learn more about what our ancestors have done and how their actions help shape the society that we live in today. So if we aren't really being afforded that type of education, or it's kind of being left out for us, it's going to be really hard for us to really mesh or assimilate within the mainstream culture or educational system that we are all a part of today. So Dr. Akbar really brings home the point within chapter 1 of being miseducated. So he kind of puts it in a way of being within a certain educational system that kind of just focuses on one identity of an ethnic group. And within people living here within America, I feel like that main point of focus was Eurocentrism, just European descent. We didn't really learn too much about African American history or all the great contributions that our people have made to society. I felt like it was just like the usual Rosa Parks, Malcolm X, Dr. Martin Luther King, but I feel like we definitely could have taken it a bit further with learning more about our own history and our own ancestry, because that definitely could have paid off dividends for us in the future and helping us have a better understanding of ourselves. And within our educational system here in America, it never really focused that much on things relating to African or African American culture, ethnicity, language, customs, and traditions. One of the biggest points that I really love that Dr. Akbar points out within the book is how education is supposed to give us a sense of self-identity. When you can actually see and visualize accomplishments and achievements of people from the past that look just like you, that have the same skin, the same genetic makeup, all of those similarities, it's like, wow, like you just almost feel like more attracted to the information. If I would have seen more people that look like me within our educational system and not just the typical Black History Month, oh, Martin Luther King, oh, civil rights, yeah. I really feel like I could have done way better if there was just more of a focus on history pertaining to African history or African American history, whatever you would like to call it. So that's why it's really important just to have those type of things within our educational system to give us a better sense of who we are and a better sense of our identity. A certain form of education can help a certain group of people, but it won't always have that same effect on another group of people. That's why so many people are such a huge advocate of representation. If we're just going through different timelines of history and all we really see is white, European, Caucasian, for the majority of the material, it's just gonna get really uninteresting and just disengaging. And it just indirectly attributes all the positivity and good things that have come from humanity to people of European descent. Because if other races of people aren't being recognized for the advancements that they've also given to humanity, it's going to be really difficult for the kids or the people who are within that educational system for them to see their own self-worth. If the other groups of people who are studying this material are going to start to take on this alien identity, like they don't even really belong within this education or within this story that's being fed to us, because a lot of us are probably thinking like, where's our people? Like, what have our people done? Because if all we're seeing is pictures of people of European descent, we're not really gaining that much. And like, we're not really even learning that much about ourselves, all of our contributions that we've made to society, the things we've had to go through that prove our resilience, our intelligence, and our love and compassion for ourselves and one another in our community. It's going to be really hard for us to relate to those type of things. So that's why it's important just to really have representation, so we can have a better sense of who we are, where we came to be, and how our ancestors led and paved the way for us to be where we are today, and for us to advance our communities and propel us forward for the future and for our kids and our grandkids, and just for us to really learn more about our history. And essentially, we're going to be learning more about ourselves, and we're going to start to feel more captivated and more enlightened about what we're learning. And then that can definitely translate into our outer lives and our actions and behaviors and just the way we see and view ourselves. So I just feel like it's just so important for education to have the entire picture of humanity and all the contributions of the different ethnicities of people. Looking back to even the earlier days of my childhood, most of the representations of people like doctors or dentists or teachers or even Jesus, they were all white. And I feel like when you're young, you really don't think about those things. But now the way I look at it is we start to subconsciously internalize those things, and we start to associate anything that's good is white or comes from a European descent. I love Johnny Bravo, Dexter's Laboratory, Superman. I really liked a lot of those shows, but all of them were white. But I always felt like I gravitated more towards shows like The Family Matters or Static Shock or The Proud Family. And that just kind of goes to show why representation is just so important. When you can see people that look like you doing good things for themselves and their family and the community around them, it kind of just instills a certain type of fire within you that makes you feel like, wow, I can aspire to do those same type of things within my community as well. Like, wow, like he's cool, look at his hair, and he's really smart, and he's in school, and he's passing all of his classes and all those good type of things. So representation within society and of course within our education is so important. So I'm gonna read a quote directly from the book, and it's one of my favorite quotes from chapter 1. So it's, "The African American experience is particularly unique within the context of the United States because we have been conspicuously absent in the formulation of this vision. What's even worse is that we are painfully aware of the contradictions between the vision and our treatment in this society. The educational system for African Americans would have to contain a vision consistent with our heritage and our experiences. One component of that vision will have to be specific with the empowerment of our people." So what that personally means to me is that we need to see more representation within our educational system of the competence and the empowerment of our people, because Africans and African Americans within history have been through so much in terms of just trials, tribulations, and just having to persevere just for us to still be relevant in today's day and age. So just seeing more representation, seeing more people within places of power, let's say law or government, or let's even say doctors, lawyers, artists, engineers, entrepreneurs, anything along those lines, we need to see that representation of our people within those certain spaces. His representation goes such a long way, and it can be so inspiring for that little black boy or that little black girl to see. Like, so that's kind of a brief overlook of what chapter 1 looks like. Once again, please check out this book, Know Thyself by Dr. Naeem Akbar. Such a powerful read. Once again, the first chapter is mostly just over education, learning more about ourselves, our identity, and why we need to have representation within our educational system so we can feel more inspired to do amazing things within our society, and so that we can learn and understand that we come from greatness, that we come from royalty, and our people have made so many great contributions to society at large. So if you like this content, stick around for chapter 2. And chapter 2 is going to be all about defining the self. And we're going to have a special guest for chapter 2, and they're going to talk about some of their own personal experiences and viewpoints within our own educational system, and learning about more of the self and how that can translate into just forming a better society for all of us. Please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you like the content, because there's going to be more coming soon. Believe that.